Hi everybody, today we're starting a brand new series called Needle Felting Drills. When I was a kid in school, drills is what always helped me learn everything that I needed to know. Multiplication drills, speed drills, Bible drills, drills in PE class, and I have carried over that same technique to my own felting. When I need to learn something, I practice. So I thought it would be really awesome to bring it to you so that you could see how I practice these techniques, and you can do the same for yourself and become a master in no time on every one of these techniques that we'll be going over in the series. So today we're going to be learning straight lines, and it's very simple, but there is a little trick to it. And once you learn this trick, you can apply it to absolutely anything. So all you're going to need today is just random pieces of felt that you can practice on. It doesn't matter what color, what size. You just need it big enough to maybe make a little line on. I have taken a pink piece today and covered my my mat, which is very well loved under there, you can see. You need a marker of any kind. This happens to be a brown alcohol marker, but it doesn't really matter. So the two needles that we're going to be using today are a 40 spiral and a 42 triangle. So we're going to give those two needles a try. They're both very fine needles for fine detail work, and I find that these are the best for your fine lines when you're doing projects. So we'll just give those a try. If you get used to those while you're doing your lines and your drills, then it's going to be like no big deal when you're actually doing a project. The two kinds of wool that we're going to be working with today, I just want you to have, and it doesn't really matter what color or anything, a carded wool and then a fine wool. This is an alpaca. It's super fine, and this is a gray, it's dark gray carded. It's actually a core wool. Both of these, this is a baby alpaca and this is the core wool dark gray. Both of these I got on Serafina Fiber Art, her website, but it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a special wool for this. We're just practicing. So any carded wool and any fine long staple wool. Merino will work just fine. Most people have merino in their stash all the time, and that'll work just fine. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our marker. When I'm doing lines, I like to angle my mat just like I'm doing, like I would write, because to me, this is very much the same technique as writing, but you're doing it with wool. So I take my marker and I'm just gonna make some dots, and my first dot is gonna be, they're gonna be about 1 inch apart. Then go down, do the same thing, and make it about 2 inches. This is actually not, this marker's not working well. Let me find a better marker. Yeah, that one works great. Again, doesn't matter what color. So so this is 1 inch apart. This is about 2 inches apart. This next one we're going to do about 3 inches apart. The next one we're going to do about 4 inches apart. Okay, so just start there. And we're going to start with our carded wool. I feel like this one tends to be the best. So just pull a little chunk of carded wool. You know, preferably you want it to be longer than your line. If you don't have one longer than your line, so let's say you have a very long line that you're going to be doing, that's okay. You're going to be able to start and stop this technique. So off of that, I'm pulling a little thin strand, and then I'm just going to very gently. I don't want to rip it apart, but very gently, I'm going to draft it out with my fingers. I'm like, if you could imagine running your finger over like a little flower or something very, very fragile, that's what I'm doing. Just drafting it out, very gentle touch. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna roll it, and I just wanna roll on all parts of it between my thumb and my forefinger. Now this is the technique we'll be doing for all the lines. I'm only gonna show this once. Super easy to do. And then we'll just you'll see me doing it, but I'm only gonna explain it once. Okay, so it's starting to really firm up like a little line. And when I get it the thickness that I want, I'm gonna go ahead and place it on this first point. So what I wanna do, I don't care if it overlaps, that's fine. It's actually better, excuse me. So I'm gonna place it there, hold it with my thumb past the point, so my thumb is on this side of the point, and then I'm gonna pull it kind of tight, close to my thumb. I'm gonna pull it kind of tight. If I pulled it tight over here, it's gonna break. So I wanna get kind of close there, pull it tight, and I'm gonna put my other finger down. Let's start with the 40, and I'm just going to, on that dot, tack it down. Right now I just want to tack it. Okay, so that is tacked. So now I'm going to just very gently come over to this other dot, and now I want to pull kind of taut, but I'm not pulling hard. I'm going to put my finger down there again. Sort of hold it on the other side, tack that down. Okay, so now I can either rip that off, or I could have clipped it off with my scissors. Either way. Okay, so now the technique is, I'm not going to worry about these loose ends. The technique is you're going to place your needle onto the mat, onto your wool, and you're going to very gently drag the needle across and felt in. Drag and felt in. Drag and felt in. Drag and felt in until you get to your end point. So as you're doing this, it is taking all of those loose fibers and it is picking them up on the barbs of the tip of your needle, and it's going to bring them to that center point of the line. And I just do this until I'm satisfied. And then I can take the ends, go ahead and pop them in. I just take the tip of my needle, pick up any little loose fibers, swirl them up in there, and then just pop that in. Anything that looks thicker or thinner than the other, just work on that. And there you have your very first, very straight line. Okay, and do it again. Go down to our next one. And you're going to get to where you're really kind of fast at this. there's any vegetable matter, just take that out. Now I'm going to just drag and tack. And we're going to do the same thing that we did on the first one on the ends, and then clean up the line. Be careful when you're dragging your needle. We're not pressing down so hard that we're bending it. We're just very, very lightly dragging it across the surface. Now here you can see it's just a little thinner than the rest. So I'm going to pull off just a little piece, very thin piece, and I'm just going to lay it right over that. And then I'm going to go right over that part. Looks better. You can always fix something if you need to go back and just thicken it up or make it a little bit thinner. You can pull some out. So let's try the alpaca now. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm pulling a very long staple length, and if I want it thick I would do it just like this, but if I'm going to want a thinner line, which normally you will if you're doing like an outline, just pull some of that off. Merinos and alpacas, they're very, very fine fibers. So you do have to be a little bit more careful. They're more fragile. And we're going to use the very same technique. Being even more gentle as you're pulling it across. And then as I go back over it, I'm really just looking for the parts that are not felted in. So anything that I find that's not felted, that's where I'm gonna lay my needle and then just gently drag it and then tack it a little bit. So there's a lot of fuzz with merinos and alpaca, any fine, long staple wool. A lot on the end here, but I'm going to go ahead and just tack it in. There you go. So you can see the difference on this line. When you're using a long staple length, this line is going to look a lot more straight and less fuzzy than this one does. Either one works. It just depends on the application that you are looking for, like whatever you're doing. If you need a really crisp line, go with the long staple length wool. Okay, let's do our very last one. Now this one's going to be an example of where my staple length isn't long enough to make it over there. So what you're going to do is you're just going to do the same technique, but you're going to stop where your staple length ends. And then we'll just carry on from that point to make it to the end. So I'm going to make sure I'm on target for this dot right here, and hold it as I go, and just do those sections as I get closer and closer to that target. And then once we reach the target, we can come back and trim it up like we did on the others. Sure I'm going that direction. It's real easy to not go the right direction. Felting is not a fast process, and you'll actually see that as I've been drafting it, I actually think I'm going to reach this. I'm going to reach it. I don't even need to add more. It's kind of drafting out as I'm pulling it and filling in that gap for me. So that's awesome. But if I did need to, let me show you. If I did need to add some more, I would just pull a little bit and lay it right over where I ended, and just tack it right on top. You'll never know the difference. That's what's so awesome about needle felting and wool. Sometimes, like with painting or drawing, you can see the difference in the strokes But with needle felting, you really can't. It all blends together, which is absolutely amazing. So I'm just looking at the parts that look thick and a little bit fly away. And I'm just going back over those. You can do it the opposite direction. Okay, so the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my 42 and I'm just gonna go back over each line and just give it another once over. This is the same thing that you would do on a piece. So when you're felting your piece, you are always gonna follow up and fine tune with your really fine needles. I'm just brushing my hand over it to see if I can find any little flyaways. Seems like there's quite a few right here. So in that case, since I have so many little ones just sticking up from that baby alpaca, I'm just gonna get my scissors and just trim any of those little loose fibers that didn't get popped down. There you have it. So this is the best way to practice your straight lines. Just keep making your dots, making them longer and longer. Practice with different types of wool, different size needles. see what works best for you. And then when you have a shape that you want to outline, it's going to be very easy for you to do that. Catch me in the next one, where on volume 2, we're going to do curves. So I'm going to teach you how to go around a door, around a window, little curves like that, and you'll be able to master that as well. But until then, keep practicing your straight lines, become a pro, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for watching.